Hey guys, welcome back to How to Roll Dice. I'm Josh, and today we're going to be doing a review and walkthrough of, wait for it, this keyboard right here. I know, it's not a game, it's not a tabletop game, but it is gaming related, and I will have more game reviews coming soon, starting next week. I'm working on one for Fuse, one for Stellar, and I'm debating on doing one on Scythe and its several expansions, but obviously that's going to be quite an undertaking, so that one might take a bit. But in the meantime, I wanted to do a little tech review on this keyboard right here, which I picked up about 2 weeks ago, and I've been absolutely loving. This is the Royal Kludge RK61, or Royal Kludge, I'm not exactly sure how you say that. It's a Chinese brand, and this keyboard, miraculously, only costs between $50 and $60 on Amazon. This is probably the nicest keyboard that I've ever owned, and the fact that it costs that much is stunning. You guys have probably seen in my other video on my previous keyboard, my Logitech G710 Plus. That is a full-size, fully mechanical, white LED lit keyboard with Cherry MX Brown switches that I removed the O-rings off of to make it a little more clacky. I've always loved that keyboard, but I wanted something a little smaller that I could bring to and from work. So it needed to be durable, it needed to be small. This is a 60% layout keyboard. If you don't know what that is, it means it's missing sort of the system keys, home, page up, page down, and it's also missing the number pad. It does still have those system keys, but they're kind of plopped onto the standard QWERTY layout section of the keyboard. But I'll get into that in a minute. I want to sort of go through the cons of this keyboard before I go into the pros, because there's only a few cons, but if you're not expecting them and you happen to pick this keyboard up, they're going to sort of make you feel like, oh god, what did I buy? Was this a mistake? It's not a mistake, it's just a little quirky, and once you get over them, you'll see that you've made a spectacular purchase, and I guarantee you will enjoy this keyboard. So, going through the cons, first off, if you try to do research on this keyboard, whether it be through YouTube reviews, or random tech sites, or Amazon reviews, you're going to find this keyboard listed, possibly even at the same time on Amazon, with different key switches, and not just red, blue, and brown, which is what I noticed pretty much every ad for this keyboard had it listed with. Like I mentioned, I got this with not Cherry MX Browns, I got this with Gateron Browns, which are Cherry MX clones. I actually wanted greens because they have a much higher actuation pressure, but pretty much no one makes 60% keyboards with greens, and I think maybe I found one or two, but they wanted like $200 for them, which was way too much. So this has Gateron Browns. But when you go to research this keyboard, you're going to see it listed with Kali box switches, you're going to see it listed with Gateron switches, you're going to see it listed with sort of just knockoff, no-name brand red, brown, and blue switches. And I'm not certain why that is. I'm going to guess it's because the company that makes this keyboard, Royal Kludge, or Royal Kludge, they're basically purchasing key switches in bulk, and then when they run out of that batch of key switches, they buy whatever the next cheapest available at that time key switch is that's still sort of within their quality range and has those three different color sets, that red, blue, and brown. And so at one point in time, maybe it was Kali box, and at one time it was Gateron, and at one time it was no-name switches. But depending on what review you're looking at and from what year that review came from, you're going to see them describing the keyboard with different switches. So right now, I'm assuming the latest generation has Gaterons. In 6 months or a year, who knows what it's going to have, but it's still probably going to have a red, blue, and brown option, and they're going to be decent quality. Gateron switches have actually been described, and I agree, as basically smoother Cherry MX switches, which is pretty nice when you consider that Cherry MX is kind of the industry standard, or has been for a while. That might be shifting a bit now with Logitech and Razer starting to produce their own keys, and some indie key companies like Novel Key starting to sort of rise up in the quality and the popularity. But when you go to look it up, you're going to see different keys listed. It's not a glitch, it's just that I think they're going with whatever key they can get the best deal on at that time. Rest assured, you're buying the same keyboard. They're all going to be called RK61, they're all going to look and feel exactly the same, you know, given a little bit of shift for what key you're going to get. Right now, they're doing Gateron. So, that's the first sort of weird piece of info or thing you'll have to deal with about this keyboard. The second thing is the software. Once you get the keyboard, you're going to get a little card inside of the box, and it's going to tell you to go to a website. When you get to that website, you're going to see it's entirely in Chinese, with no option to translate it into English unless you're using Google Translate, which is live in Google Chrome, so that's at least decent. If you follow your way through that page as best you can, whether you're doing it in Chinese, you're trying to use a translator on your browser, you're eventually going to find the download section, and it seems like everything is going okay until you reach the actual download links page, in which case you're going to see 4 separate links, all marked as the download. I tried all 4, none of them worked. After doing a little bit of research online, I found plenty of people who had purchased the keyboard who were saying it's a little bit of a delay in that site getting up the latest generation of firmware software. They had links that went directly to a Google Drive page, and from that Google Drive page you could download the software, the firmware, and an American user manual that had all of the sort of built-in hotkeys on the keyboard laid out in plain English. So that was nice. Once I downloaded that version of the software and I installed it, everything worked fine. The RGB control popped up on screen. This keyboard, I think I mentioned, is full RGB. It's very, very high quality RGB. You can do tons of customization to it. We'll get to that in a minute. So software is a little weird to get your hands on, but once you get it, you're good to go. Lastly, it is a 60% layout, which means it's got some overlapping of keys, like the system keys, the print screen, the scroll lock, pause, insert, home, page up, page down, end, keys that the typical person doesn't use a lot. Those keys are laid on top of standard letter characters, so print screen is on Y, and scroll lock is on U, and page up is on K. That's not that big of a deal, other than the fact that for some reason by default, the keyboard layout is such that it's mixing keys that you need all the time with keys that you almost never need. And you can toggle through different layouts. So for example, if you hit function and left control, it toggles from one set to the next of which keys are activated by default. So let me explain. If I just started typing on this right now, and I wanted to type the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, that works fine. The issue is when I want to type a question mark. If I go to type a question mark in the base sort of key set that this comes with out of the box, you have to hit function to go from up arrow to the characters that are printed on that key, which is slash and question mark. So function to shift from arrow to the actual characters, then shift to switch from slash to question mark, then question mark. That really gets in the way when you're just trying to do standard, like, word processor typing, your typical 60 to 80 word per minute typing. Question mark should be something that's completely muscle memory, shift, boom, there it is, you move on to the next sentence. Adding in that function shift makes it like a command action that is way too slow for standard typing. So that's an issue. Like I said, if you hit function and left control, it toggles into the next sort of key set. So now you have question mark or slash and question mark as the base characters. You just have to hit shift, boom, and you're there. But for some reason, you've now activated all of the system keys as the default key. So if you were to try to type Y or H or N or M, you're not actually hitting those characters, you're hitting print screen or insert or delete or end. I don't know why that is. Who would want that? So you hit function control again, and now you're in the third key set. Now you have all of your letter characters, and you've got your question mark, and you've got your punctuation. Good to go. The system keys are now the secondary keys. But for some reason, now the number row is by default the function keys. So F2, F3, F5, F11, all of your function keys, those are now the default. And if you want to hit, for example, the number 3, you have to hit function 3. And if you want to hit the $sign, you have to hit function shift 4. Again, we've entered the realm of too much. So what I found out was if you go into the RGB controller software, there's actually a function tab where you can individually select any key on the keyboard. And this is setting it for the key set that you're in. So what I did was I went to the third set. That's the one where everything is perfect except the number row. And you can individually select keys and tell it exactly what you want the default on that key to be. So I went across the number row, and it actually extends all the way to what would be F11 and F12, which is the dash and underscore and equal plus. And I told it I wanted those all to be the numbers and the number associated symbols, sort of like, exclamation point, at, pound. I made those the defaults, and I made it so that the function key is where you have to hit function and key, which is how it should be. I don't know why that's not the default. It's kind of a weird choice. Maybe on Chinese markets that makes more sense. I'm not sure, although I would assume this would have a Chinese character layout if it was designed for Chinese markets. I'm not sure. But making that little change to the row and then saving it as a profile, which anything that you save in the RGB function editor gets saved to the keyboard. It's not in the software on the computer that you're using it on. And that's really important. I'll get to that in a minute. So I made that quick little change and I was good to go. So those are really the 3 cons to the board. It's a little weird when you research it that you're going to find it listed with different keys. It's a little weird that you have to sort of manipulate the character layout just a touch on the board to get it to the way that it should be. And it's a little weird that the software is a little funky to find, but once you get it, you're good to go. Once you get over the 3 hurdles there, this is a spectacular keyboard. It is a fully plastic keyboard. It does not have a metal plate inside, but it has no no deck flex. And that's because it's such a short, chunky keyboard that it has no sort of wobble to it at all. All of the keycaps feel really sturdy, there's no wiggle. The spacebar has a tiny bit of wiggle, but not much, and that's basically because it's a spacebar. A lot of spacebars have that little back and forth wiggle. But all the rest of the keys feel really good. The switches feel really great. There's no flex to it. Like I said, it's just really thick. If you look on the bottom of it, it does not have fold-out feet to change the elevation of it. It just has solid rubber tabs, which is nice. It doesn't skid around at all on your desktop, whether or not you have a mat or just a solid hard top to your desk. And it has a nice built-in angle to it, as well as a rise to the angle of the keycaps, so that it does have a bit of an arc to it. It's got a slight ergonomic curve, so it's not like you're typing on a perfectly flat board like a laptop. It feels good to type on. It's fast, it's responsive, and let's get into the main reason that I enjoyed it. It's durable, and it's portable and efficient, and that is because it's not only wired, or can be used wired through a USB Type-C connection on the back, but it's got a built-in 10-hour battery and operates on Bluetooth 5.0 for up to 3 devices simultaneously, or not simultaneously, but in its memory. So if you hit function and then P, or hold function P, it puts it into pairing mode. You can then connect it to any device that has Bluetooth, whether it be your phone, your tablet, your laptop, your desktop, whatever you like. You can then tell it which of the 3 devices in its sort of memory you want that device to be. So if you look at the keyboard, Q, W, and E have a small 1, 2, and 3 in the bottom corner of them. That's to remind you that that's the first, second, and third device that you can have it paired to, on top of the fact that you can just wired connect it to something. So I have my home computer set as device 1, and I have my work computer set as device 2. So I can pack this up, I can bring it to work, and when I get there, I can simply turn it on, there's a small switch on the back, and I can hit function 2, and boom, I'm typing at work. I then turn it off when I want to go home. When I get home, I turn it back on, flip the switch on the back, and I hit function 1. Boom, I'm typing at home. And again, the way that I have my RGB set, whether it be the colors or the speed or the animation, all of that, as well as the special functions, so that number key row being set the way that I like it, is stored on the keyboard. I don't have to download the software at my work, and that would actually be a pain because there's a lot of security features on my office computer. So I don't have to worry about downloading that controller software at the office. All of that setup is stored on the board itself, and so wherever I take it, that setup is coming with me. And like I said, you can even have a third device, and on top of that, you can plug it in directly to whatever you like. So this is a great keyboard for travel and for efficiency and for connectivity to multiple devices. If I wanted to, I could even set the third device as my phone if I feel like going on a Facebook rant off of mobile for some reason. So it's really great in that sense. Talking about the actual RGB, it is full and fully customizable RGB. You can go as far as setting a specific color to each individual key across the board. There's something like 18 or 20 unique animations that the lighting on the board can play out, from waves to grids to pulsing, breathing. I have mine right now set to explode, or it might be called launch. And that's when I type on a key, lighting pulses off of that key laterally across that key row, and I can change the speed at which that lighting pulses off. I can change the actual color of the lighting, whether I want it to be a static single color that pulses off, say I want it to pulse off pink or purple or blue or red or green, whatever, or I can just have it pulse off in kind of a rainbow of colors that changes every keystroke I make. It's fully customizable. It's spectacular. I had so much fun just playing with it before I decided to settle with the one that I did. And you can change it on the fly, both in the software and on the keyboard. Holding the function key and hitting several different keys on the board, you can change this type of animation that you're using. You can change the brightness of that animation, the color of the animation, and the speed of the animation, all off the keyboard using hotkeys. And that's all labeled on the keyboard to make it as easy as possible for you to remember. I really love this keyboard. I've been having so much fun with it. I love typing on it. It feels good. It travels good. The fact that I can pop on and off different devices with it so seamlessly. It's got 10 hours worth of battery. That's plenty. If I plug it in before I go to bed at night after spending, my evening working on it here, when I wake up in the morning and I throw it in my bag and get to the office, it's got a full day's worth of battery for the office. And then when I get back to my house and I want to pop onto my personal computer and start working on something, I just plug it in while I'm working. I turn Bluetooth off, I go with the wired connection, and it's charging while I'm working on it. It's spectacular. I love it. $50 to $60 gets you a wonderful keyboard in this Royal Kludge RK61. I would definitely recommend it for anybody that's looking for an efficient, multi-device, portable, durable, and highly customizable mechanical keyboard. I really enjoy it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this review. If you haven't yet, please go down below and subscribe and set your notification bell to all so that you get notified whenever I post new videos. I am going to be changing my post night from Thursdays to Tuesdays, and that is because I've been streaming on Twitch more consistently. I'm streaming Friday mornings very early, 4:30 to 7:30 a.m. That's US Eastern Standard Time. I'm streaming Saturday evenings between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. and I'm streaming Sunday mornings between 4:30 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. This video will be going up on Tuesday, or I should say these videos will be going up on Tuesday. If you're interested in my streams, please check me out on Twitch. It's How to Roll Dice on Twitch. I am going to try to figure out how to copy those videos over to YouTube so that people that only want to follow me on this one platform can check those videos out. But until I figure that out, please just go over to Twitch and take a look. Give me a follow if you like what you see. I am right now playing platformers on Fridays. I'm right now playing Katana Zero. Scary games on Saturdays, and right now I'm playing through Alien Isolation, which is very uncomfortable and terrifying and anxiety-inducing for me. And shooters on Sundays. Right now I'm playing Hell Let Loose, which is a spectacular grand-scale World War II online first-person shooter where teams of 50 go against each other, and there's all of these sort of special positions that you can play as, squad captain and commander of the entire force. It's a wonderful game. It's still an early release. I love it so much. And when I'm not in the mood to get really into an intense combat game like that, I like to play a little Warframe and just kind of mess around. So yeah, if you like this video, subscribe, set the bell, leave a comment, leave a like or a dislike, and I will see you guys in the next video, likely for an actual game review. Have a good night.